So thank you very much for that kind introduction, and I was very pleased to hear the words of the ambassador. Thanks to VELUX for giving me the chance to speak this morning, and thanks to you all for being here. It's a nice day, and we have a lovely topic that we're all passionate about, which is light, and what we can do with it. As was mentioned, the idea of the International Year of Light goes back to 2009, and I suppose it's a lesson that sometimes you should think twice about what you offer to do, because in a committee meeting I said I would explore how you developed an international year with the UN, and in the end it became a full-time job for 4 years, because it's not, politics is not easy, Mr. Ambassador, as you know. So after various, I won't bore you with all the details, although they're interesting in a sense. After a long and tortuous process of trying to get a consensus among some key countries, on the 20th of December, on the last day of the session of the General Assembly, the General Assembly proclaimed that 2015 would be an International Year of Light and light-based technologies. So the communities, the lighting community, the science community, went to the UN with the proposal for a year of light, and they thought that was too vague. So they themselves added in the qualifier, light-based technology as well. So it's not just about daylight, it's also about the technology of photonics and the photonic science and LEDs and optical fibers and other things as well. So the other aspect of this is that we went to the UN with a proposal based essentially on the scientific aspects of light, and they themselves introduced the idea of design and architecture. Sometimes we tend to think that we know better than the politicians, but I was very surprised to learn that there are some very smart people in the UN system who introduced additional keywords into the resolution that we're all now benefiting from, because it's far more inclusive as a resolution. The themes are fairly obvious of the International Year. It's to raise awareness of the importance of light in all its manifestations, to promote the potential for light-based technology to solve problems. As I'll explain shortly, there are many issues in developing countries especially that can be solved using existing technologies. And the problem is not one of science or engineering, the problem is one of politics. And as with UNESCO, as being the designated lead organization, education is extremely important. And light as a vehicle to explain and to inspire studies from young children to university level, it's second to none as a subject of education. So this is a partnership between UNESCO, the UN, and the private sector. UNESCO is very happy with some persuasion to give you its label, but you get not €1 from them to do any of it. So they're happy to give you their blessing, but they don't fund you to do it. So you have to fundraise and yourself. So we're very grateful to all the partners and NGOs who are involved, especially this one, so thank you very much. Some of you will have been at the opening ceremony at UNESCO headquarters in Paris in January, which was a very nice event for all sorts of different reasons. What was very interesting is that we managed to receive a letter from Ban Ki-moon in support of the International Year. So this is one of the important aspects of these years, and that it raises the awareness certainly to the public, but it also raises the awareness of the Office of the Secretary General of the United Nations that there is this field of light and light science. Otherwise, this office wouldn't know about it. And so Ban Ki-moon had to approve this message. And so he himself wrote a very nice letter that you can download from the website, but what he mentions is the diversity of the ways in which light can have an impact, from art, from culture, the history, from the VELUX idea of mythology, to the fact that light science is an interdisciplinary area of research and development today. And we're very, very proud of this letter from Ban Ki-moon. And I think there's enough in that letter for all of us to extract paragraphs and texts for our documents and work for the coming years. So the themes of the International Year are extremely diverse. So daylight and architecture are one part of it. You know much more about that than I do, so I thought I'd focus mainly on giving you a flavour of the other broader areas of what the International Year touches upon. So clearly light is life. Without the sun, without photosynthesis, we wouldn't exist. Having said that, light has been around for 13.8 billion years. So one of the anniversaries of the International Year is the fact that in 1965, some scientists in Bell Labs in New Jersey pointed an antenna at the sky and measured microwave radiation coming from the empty space, which is the echo of the moment of the Big Bang. Now, current theories of cosmology, for those who may be interested, indicate that perhaps there was something before that. So we're revisiting this idea of a singular point of origin these days. But as far as we know, the microwaves that we're bathed in now from deep space are 13.8 billion years. So light is very old, right? So there's a lot of science. There's a lot of science in what we're doing. It's very interesting. The technologies of light are also important, from advanced technologies such as your own devices on the top right to simpler manifestations of this through the liter of light idea, which some of you will have heard about. These are all fascinating, so it reflects the fact that light in its broader sense touches all of us in some way. Now, the year has had a really, really spectacular international success, far beyond what I thought it would. There have been events from Sydney to Paris to the Centraal Station in Amsterdam, in the centre, to the particle accelerator at CERN, where they discovered the Higgs boson. That's the famous globe of peace that they have. To awareness raising and concrete actions in developing countries in areas very, very closely related to the Little Sun initiative, which will be spoken about tomorrow. Giving solar lanterns is something I'll talk about shortly. There have also been a number of stamps issued around the world, and one €5 coin from San Marino. So stamps from all over the place, reflecting how designers see light in its in its various manifestations. The stamp from Liechtenstein, if you get the chance to get one, is very interesting because it's perforated with holes and printed on fluorescent ink. And there are 3 experiments you can do with that stamp to illustrate 3 different quantum properties of light. So just for fun, if you ever happen to be in Liechtenstein. But it's interesting to see how different countries have latched onto this idea to point out different aspects of light. We've surveyed the interest in the Year of Light from around the world, and we can quantify that every country in the world, except North Korea, has accessed our website and downloads. Now, I actually suspect the North Koreans have accessed our website, but they're just not telling us. But we've translated materials into lots of different languages, and lots of things have been happening spontaneously themselves. There's lots of interest in the community in the International Year of Light, from specialized areas of engineering science to the high-profile journals of nature and science to your own daylight and architecture. And this issue is in the tote bag, I believe. So that's very nice to see so much interest. But there's also things happening that we have no control over, and it's just strange. Campari have designed a special edition of bottles based on the International Year of Light. Right? Okay. The Guardian and events in the Philippines have also promoted work on there, just totally spontaneously. The in-flight magazine of Etihad had a short piece on this in January, and the Girl Guides of Australia have made light their theme for 2015 of science outreach. And this is just a small fraction of a percent of the things that are just bubbling up around the world spontaneously. And it shows the power of the United Nations system to actually reach out to the world to promote activities. There's also been an important political reach, and this is something which is rather interesting, and it's been happening behind the scenes, but one which we believe could be just as important. And to the extent that within a particular country it's possible to leverage the International Year to raise awareness internally, then it can be very, very powerful. For example, the European Commission, through the new Commissioner, Günther Oettinger, spoke at the annual meeting of Photonics 21, which is a European public-private partnership in the photonics sector. And he spoke explicitly about the importance of this International Year in raising awareness. For the last 3 years, in parallel with the work to promote the International Year of Light, the US optics community have been promoting the profile of photonics. And in parallel, this has led to the announcement by President Obama of a $200 million integrated photonics manufacturing institute. Now, there's a meeting next week in Washington on the International Year of Light, hosted by their National Science Foundation. And the Assembly, the National Assembly of South Korea publicly announced their support of the International Year of Light as well. So this is fascinating to see the way different communities in different countries have got the political backing. And we know that this will have a follow-on effect in the years to come in terms of funding for education and support for initiatives and so forth. This is a very interesting initiative which some of you may not be aware of. It's an infrastructure called Sesame, which is it's a scientific instrument called a synchrotron, which creates light at all different frequencies from the ultraviolet, X-rays, out to the infrared. And this is being built in a collaboration between Israel, Palestine, Pakistan, Iran, the United States, Japan, as a way to show that science can bring peace in communities that usually don't work together. And this has been constructed at the moment with support from CERN, the European Union, and others. If you're interested, it's a fascinating piece of geopolitics and science coming together in the Middle East. One of the reasons why light has had such an impact politically is because of the effect of the environment and climate change. And this year, with the Conference of Parties, COP21, taking place in Paris, it's a very important year for climate change. And we all know we all know the words to say. We all know that it's important. We all know that the keywords such as smart cities and design and these solutions and well-being and the win-win nature of good design to improve the environment and also to help us feel happier. I mean, we're happier in a room like this when it's bright and sunny than we are when it's dark. But saying these things only goes part of the way. There's this huge disconnect between knowing about this and doing something about it. And hopefully, coming out of 2015, there'll be a better appreciation of how we can solve this and how we can bridge this gap. The United Nations does not support international years that only benefit the wealthy and the rich. It only supports ideas that focus on developing countries. What I was astonished to learn a few years ago is that 80% of the world's population live in developing countries. It's not 20% or 30%, it's 80%. So we're a very, very, very lucky minority. And I think we have an obligation to share that wealth and share the benefits we enjoy more widely. Part of that relates to communication, education. We have smartphones, we're connected, we complain when the internet's slow, but you know, 3-4 billion people in the world just don't have internet reliably, and about 2 billion don't have it at all, don't have any access to communications. And so we have to try and solve that problem somehow. There are also diseases and healthcare issues that light-based technologies can help solve. 22,000 children will die today in the world because of diseases of which we have solved in rich countries. Kids don't die of these things in Denmark or England, but they do in Nigeria or Djibouti. And we can solve these things, or we can make a step towards that by bringing the technology to the right place. On two areas where it's very important, where light-based technologies can really make an impact very easily, are shown in this slide. Daylight is wonderful, but one problem with daylight is that people go to school during daytime, and that's fine. And so you get educated by other people when you go to school. If you want to test the ideas that you learn at school and discuss them with your family, you do that in the evenings. You go on the internet or you read a book. And if you don't have the ability to read books at night time and do homework and test these ideas for yourself, then you're reliant only on what other people teach you. And that isn't a very democratic way of education. And something as simple as putting a solar lantern in a home to light up the evenings actually can make education much more democratic. And this is something which we're just starting to appreciate, and hopefully as programs like Little Sun and others have wide impact, then this will be a benefit that we'll start to see. It will take a generation perhaps, but it will be a benefit. The other aspect is that there's estimates of hundreds of millions or billions of people who need eyeglasses. If we take off our eyeglasses, many of you are like me and you have them, you understand immediately how optical technologies improve your quality of life. Try and go a day without them and see what happens. Right? There's many things you can't do. Just to give you the importance of lighting in the evening to the world, here's a population density map of the planet. So we see India as densely populated. Some areas of Europe are also densely populated. There's the Saharan Desert, but Africa is densely populated. There's the lighting of the world in the evening. Now, that absence of lighting in Africa means there's no electricity, there's no infrastructure, there's no internet either. This is a map of where the internet is. And so this is an area where we are focusing on very strongly to try and raise awareness of this issue. 2015 was chosen as an international year for different reasons. There were many anniversaries that coincide this year. One which is very interesting is the approximate 1,000th anniversary since the development of the first real series of textbooks summarizing and extending the work of the Greeks and the ancients of light, which was published, I think, in Cairo around about 1015 by a scientist called Ibn al-Haytham, or Al-Hazan, his Latin name. And he summarized the state of knowledge of light. Now, this work essentially preserved the knowledge that was lost during the Dark Ages. It was republished in the 16th century in Basel, in Germany, France. And this is a frontispiece of the 16th century edition. It's quite an interesting little picture showing the different things they understood about light at that time. But promoting the life and works of this gentleman, Ibn al-Haytham, is one of the aims of this year as well. Because he was a fascinating, he was a devout Muslim, as you would be in the 11th century, but he was also a progressive thinker. And this is one of his statements, like that the seeker after truth is one who submits to argument and demonstration of ideas, and not just the sayings of other human beings, whose nature is fraught with all kinds of imperfection. Now, that's an 11th century statement, and I think it would be quite nice to have a few people saying that today. Mandela said it better than anyone else can about the importance of education, and if the International Year of Light tends to focus a little bit on education too much to the taste of certain sectors, then this is why. Because this world we live in is complex, it doesn't seem to be improving the way it should, and one of the reasons is just because there are too many people who don't benefit in the way we do from education and so on. So I'd invite you all, as well as focusing on the aspects of the International Year of Light which touch on your own community, as I do in my own community of light science, to read about the other aspects of the International Year of Light which touch upon us all. Go to the website, get involved, and just raise awareness amongst your families and friends and circles of these wider issues. It's very important for everyone. Thank you very much.